This Parsha is Parsha Lech Lecha. Focuses on the lives of Abram and Sarai. Something humorous someone shared with me last week. There's one of the great Rosh Yeshiva of the Yeshiva Chaim Berlin in New York was Rabbi Yitzchak Hutner. He's a brilliant man, penetrating insights, and he wrote commentaries. It's known as Pachad Yitzchak, deep philosophical. He was a brilliant man, but he moved to Israel towards the end of his life, and he got very sick, and he was in, I believe, in Shar Tzedek Hospital, right on his deathbed. But just to show, that how his mind worked, So he's there in his deathbed, and they know he's a great rabbi. So the nurse goes in, and she says, "Harav noach lecha." Noach lecha means, "Are you comfortable? Are you?" So he turns to the people standing and says, "I'm by Parsha Lech Lecha, and she's asking me noach lecha." Anyway. So we're holding here, and the Parsha where HaKadosh Baruch Hu instructs Abram to leave. He's home, and actually, according to many of the commentators, one of the tests. And we focus on the life of Abraham. Now we understand that this is not a history book, and in fact, Avram Avinu lived to be 180 years old. But past 137, 140 of Avram's life, there's no discussion. So.
He was 175.
175, Yitzchak, right? It's 175. But past between 137, 140, and then 180, there's pretty much no mention. So clearly, those things that were focused upon are specifically those things that have some type of cosmic impact. It can't be that we're focusing on every single detail, because there's no purpose in focusing every single detail. And if there would have been, then why aren't they all being focused on? And it's not that, we know the Chazal make a statement that when a person who is connected to God and studies Torah, when you get older, you get greater. It says those that don't have that connection, unfortunately, that as they get older, they become less worthy. But Abram Avinu, so it was not because there was nothing, he was not worthy at the age of 170, but obviously the impact wasn't there on a cosmic level that we would need it to be recorded in the Torah. But the things that are recorded in the Torah then are not just little things. We're talking about things of a huge nature. So I want to focus on something here. There's a pasuk that says like this. This is Abram goes with Sarah and Lot. They leave their place of birth, and they go to the place that Hashem instructed. That's where they need to go. It means they go to Eretz Canaan. And the pasuk says like this. It says, "Vayatek misham hara," relocated to the mountain east of Beit El. This is in the instruction. Vayet ohalo, and he pitched his tent. Beis El miyam v'ha'ai mikedem, and Beth El was on the west and Ai was on the east, and he built a mizbeach there, vayikra b'shem Hashem, and he called out in the name of Hashem. He built a mizbeach. Rashi brings down, because in the earlier psukim to this, he was told that he is going to have a child, that there's going to be children, and that the land of Israel will be eternally connected to his offspring. So he made a mizbeach to thank Hashem. But before he makes this mizbeach, it says he pitched his tent. Okay. Sure, this is not the first time Abram Avinu is pitching a tent. So what does it have to tell us? He pitched his tent. So Rashi brings down a medrash. It says as follows. We know that the tent in Hebrew is ohel. Right? It's tent. That's a tent. The suffix at the end, if you want to make it possessive, that means it belongs to the person. So depending on whether it's male or female will depend on what that suffix is going to be. If it's his tent, then it would be a vav. It would be ohalo. His tent means it's ohel shalo. That's the vav at the end. If it's for a woman, it's her tent, then it'll be ohala with a hey at the end, ohel shala. Okay? Here, Rashi points out that it's very interesting because we know that there is the written word, the way we got the Torah at Sinai, we got the Masorah, this is the word, but then there's also the tradition of how it has to be read. Because in the Torah there's no punctuation. So we have a Masorah, as this is the way it's written, it's Kri. Now this is the Ksiv, this is the way it's written, and there's a Kri, and this is how you have to read it. So here you have an interesting anomaly, because it's written with a Hey. Ohala is written like it's her tent. However, the way the Baal Korah on Shabbos is going to get up and he's going to read it, hopefully, he's going to read it not as Ohala, as her tent, but he's going to be read it as if there was a Vav there, as if it says Ohalo. What's that?
Gotta tell my son.
Gotta tell him to read it the right way. I'm sure he's been practicing. So the question really is, why is it written that way? So listen to what Rashi says here. Rashi says as follows. Again, this is based on a medrash. Ohalo, ohala ksiv. Actually, it's not written ohalo. It's written as ohala, as her tent. But tchila nata es ohel ishto. He first pitched her tent. Va'achar kach es shalo. And then he pitched his own tent. So the reason why it's written as if it's his tent and it's her tent, to tell me that although, yes, he pitched his tent, but he took care of her tent first.
But do you have in the hay dots inside the hay?
Not in the Torah itself. You're saying in the Torah there's no nakudot.
In your book.
If it's a mapik hay, there's a mapik hay over here. There's no here. There is no mapik here in this pasuk. No. But so let's just ask a couple of questions over here. It can't be that all of a sudden Abram Avinu got good manners. Oh, he now finally learned etiquette. He hasn't been pitching her tent till now. They've been married for quite a while. Right? Now he starts pitching her tent first. Obviously, that why would that be? Why would it be that now? So obviously he has been. So the first question you have to ask: why is it now that the Torah is teaching us that he pitched her tent? Right. Second question is, why is that important information? Let's say he did pitch her tent for us. Again, we said we don't have details in their lives unless they're really profound. Why is this a profound event? But I think the most compelling question out of all of this, if it wants to tell you that he pitched her tent, there's an easy way to do it. How should the word have been written and how should it be read? Write it as Ohala and read it as Ohala. That's the easiest way to do it. So what does the Torah do? It writes it as Ohala, but it reads it as Ohalo. Why? If you want to tell me whatever the reason we have to come up with that there's an important thing that has to tell you the man should be pitching the tent for his wife, okay, it's going to be pretty obvious, then just write that he pitched his wife's tent. Why is it written as if it's his tent, but it's really pitching her tent? Why is it being written that way? So I want to tell you an idea. This is an idea I heard from my Rosh Yeshiva, but I think it's probably there should be more husbands here for this idea than wives. But it's a very, very important point. I haven't seen statistics. I just know that I've been doing this for about 30 years. I'm involved in education. And unfortunately, family dysfunction has become the norm. I think normally used to have, there was again, you never know what goes on behind closed doors, but it seemed to be normal families, things functioning okay, and a small percentage of families would be dysfunctional. It seems, again, without having done a study, but it seems to us that the norm today is almost that there is dysfunction. It's like you point out, oh, wow, that's a normal family. Look how wonderful the children are coming out. That's a chiddush today. That's a shechiyana today. It's not. So I think what we're going to talk about today, I believe, cuts to the core of perhaps the cause of this dysfunction. What I'm about to say does not ignore the fact that today, unfortunately, we live in a society that most people need to have, it has to be a 2-income family to survive. Now, whether it's because we've created for ourselves the expectations of lifestyle needs that require that amount of financial contribution, whereas maybe in the past, people would be willing to live with less. I'm not sure, but be that whatever it is, today it happens to be that, whether it's just there's great ad marketing out there, but what might have been in the past a luxury, today's become an accepted norm. And 30 years ago to have a house with air conditioning, might have been a luxury. We have air conditioning. You look in you're a broker. In the newspapers 30 years ago when they were marketing a house, but it said central air conditioning, or even today you can't put a house on the market that doesn't have air conditioning. How do you put a house? So there's certain things that perhaps are, 50 years ago, might have been the bathroom in the house. So we have become the concept of what was once a luxury has now become the norm, and therefore there is a greater financial strain, and it's now become almost a requirement to have a dual income family. I've said this before. There's the famous joke. They say that there is a rabbinical ban that was imposed by in the time of the Gaonim that a person's not allowed to have more than one wife, because from the Torah's perspective, you can have. So that ban was done in Europe, which is why many of those living in Sephardic lands were not subject to the ban, and only later on did they embrace the idea of having only one wife, not two. But when they had they flew in the what was it called? Kanfei Nesharim. They flew in the Temanim from. They all came like 3 wives, and because they weren't subject to that. Then later on, the Rabbanut, even on the Sephardic side, imposed that really you have only. So the joke they say is that that in Lakewood, the Lakewood Yeshiva, has the greatest yeshiva kollel systems in the world, was started by Rav Aaron Kotler. So there's the idea is that men are studying full time to develop themselves in terms of become greater in learning, and in many of the cases, the wives are supporting the men. It's become also a norm that perhaps didn't exist in the past. The joke over there is that it's called the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershon. The ban of Rabbeinu Gershon is what to stop the man from marrying. In Lakewood, they're trying to put a petition to, remove the ban, because you can't live on a single income family anymore. That's the joke that they say. But but that's the point. Is that that there's no question that there has been a change today in the role of what once used to be that the husband is the breadwinner, the wife stays home and takes care of the children. That model as to what is considered to be the typical structure and dynamic of a household, that is not the norm. That's less the... nevertheless, even with that in mind, I think because of that, I think what we're going to say is important to understand. The Torah is teaching us here something which we need to be able to internalize and focus on our own family dynamic. We know that when Sarai and Abram leave to go to Eretz Yisrael, so it says they take with them as ha-nefesh asher asu b'charan. They take the souls that they had made in Haran. So Rashi says, what does it mean they took the souls that they made in Haran? So Rashi says, shechnisum tachas kanfe ashchina. They had brought them under the protection of the divine. They were Makarev. They were the first Kiruv power team. They were Makarev people. They brought them with, and they had this entourage of people that went along with. They're with them when they went to Eretz Yisrael. And Rashi says over there that Abram was Mekarev the men, and Sarah Megayeres Hanoshim. So it was a power couple. They were joint. They had equal roles. Just Abram focused on converting the men, and Sarah focused on converting the women. So you have this dynamic, this equality going on in this marriage. What changes? Avram is told that you are going to have a child, and Sarah will be the mother of that child. That is the information. That's why he builds the Mizbeach. Right before then, the Torah says he pitched her tent. What changes? So what the Torah is teaching us, the insight of Abram Avinu and the insight that we need to have as well. Sarah is down in the trenches side by side with Abram Avinu. She's out there doing whatever he's doing. His focus of her changes when he finds out she's going to be a mother. What does it mean? He pitched her tent, and it's written it's his tent. His tent becomes her tent. His tent becomes, meaning the greatest priority that he is now affording and focusing on her, and the greatest respect that he's affording her is the respect because she's becoming the mother of the child, of his child. So what the Torah is telling us like this, and this is, I think, where we get it wrong. Ultimately, we are all human beings, and every human being wants to feel a purpose for existence, wants to feel satisfaction, wants to feel like they're fulfilling a task of why they're created. But Avram Avinu is giving the message now to Sarah is that the most important role that you are going to play in our lives and the lives of the Jewish people moving forward is what role? The role of being a mother. This is now, he pitched her tent, he made his tent her tent. That's the priority. This marriage, that's the priority. Your role as mother is the most important role. Because, unfortunately, we see that that's what's changed over the years. There's no question. You can have women could be the top doctors, they could be the top lawyers, they could be all of those things. There's no question. The question is, you as a husband, where are you giving your wife the greatest respect for what she is doing? If a woman feels, ultimately, that her fulfillment and the respect that she'll have in her husband's eyes, which ultimately is the most important, even more important than society's eyes, it's the husband's eyes, is more as being a great breadwinner or being the unbelievable doctor, unbelievable lawyer, and it's not as important as because you're going to be the mother of the children, then her efforts are not going to be in being the mother of her children. The effort's going to be in being the best lawyer, the best doctor, the best... and that is what's changed. It's almost... Women today are almost embarrassed to say, oh, I'm a stay-home mom. Today, you're a stay-home mom? Today, it's like, look, it's almost like a defect. What's wrong with you? Abram is telling me is that the most important role that a woman's going to have that creates the fabric of the home and will ensure the continuity of that home is the role the woman plays. In Aramaic, the Gemara refers to a wife, the bisu. The bisu is from the word bias. The wife is the house. Ishto zubeso. The wife, she is the one that sets up the parameters of the house. But for that to happen, the husband has to make the wife feel there's no more important job than the role she's going to be playing as mother. Doesn't mean that she can't be a lawyer, it doesn't mean she can't be a doctor, and it's those things, but that can't be what she needs to get her fulfillment from. And if she doesn't feel that the most important role is the role of being the mother, then that's what she's going to lean towards to get her fulfillment from there. And then you have a breakdown in terms of what's going to happen in the home. So this is probably one of the most fundamental concepts in terms of a successful home. But it requires that the husband look at the wife as being successful in terms of her success, and fulfillment comes in terms of her being the mother. Not that she shouldn't be appreciated. She's the breadwinner, and today we need that second income, and sometimes it's even the primary income. All wonderful and all great. But the role of being the mother, that's what's going to ensure the fabric of the home stays in place. And again, as I said, today we're fighting City Hall, because that is not, unfortunately, the way we look at it. Literally, women have, I remember reading someplace that a person was asked about his wife. What does your wife do? And she says, oh, she's a doctor, and she's an accountant, and she's, list the whole. She said, what do you mean? How can she do all those jobs? So he said, no, she's a stay-home mom, but she's responsible for the health of the kids and the finances in terms of the buying, and she does all those jobs. That's all the jobs. What's that?
She's a master chef too.
Right, and she's a cook. And probably the most difficult job is the job of being the mother and running a successful household. That's probably the most difficult job. However, think about it. If that's not the job that you're going to get your fulfillment from, and that's not the job that is lauded by the husband, why would somebody want to put all their effort into the most difficult job? And there are many women today that, I'm not saying, there are a lot of people that work because they need to work because they need the finances. But there are many women today that are not in the home because they escape. I just can't handle the home. I got to get out. I got to get, And I'm not saying that that's not a necessarily problematic thing. But if that's not where they're getting the fulfillment from the home, then for sure they want to get out. We as husbands have to make sure that the wife is getting the respect and the fulfillment from what she does in the home, or else she's not going to stick around inside that home. It'll be the secondary thing, not the primary thing. And that's what Pasuk's telling you. Abram finds out she's going to be a mother. His tent becomes her tent. Yeah, he was always etiquette. He was always there putting her tent for her. This is a different thing. It's a whole different relationship. And you know what? Then there becomes a question in the house. What do? Do we kick Yishmael out? Do we not kick Yishmael out? Avram is troubled by that. They're both his children. But you know who calls the shots? Hashem comes to Avram. Kol asher tomar Sarai. Whatever she tells you, shma b'kolah. She's in charge of the home. She's in charge of the home. That's the message over there. That's a message for us. And please God, with God's help, we'll raise successful homes.
Amen.